Ugh, my head hurts. But you know what? I'm not done with this story. There's still something about it that, in my view, is actually about 100 times worse than anything I've talked about. And I'm going to try and go off the cuff here, just to emphasize how serious I am about this. And forgive me if I start to ramble, but it's something I'm very passionate about, like as a writer. So, reading the Fazbear Frights, I noticed like a few typos. And you'd think that in professionally published books like this, you wouldn't expect to find typos, but you'd be surprised. I actually find typos in a lot of traditionally published books by famous authors. When you're reading all these words, all these letters and characters, finding one or two in a book is to be expected. I get it, people make mistakes. People aren't 100% perfect. You could show a paper that has a typo to 100 different people, and it's likely that they wouldn't, be able to pick it out. That's likely. That said, however, we as writers, and more broadly speaking, all of you probably as students, former students, current students, you are expected to have this air of perfection in your writing, whether it's creative writing or writing for an essay or something like that. Typos and formatting errors are you usually get docked points off, and that's why even as early as first grade, teachers tell you to always proofread your work, always edit your work. Because if they find out that you misspelled a word, or you had a formatting error, or you spelled something wrong, or swapped one name with another, then yeah, they're going to take points off. You're not going to get a perfect 100. You could be saying something good, but you're not going to get that perfect score because you had a few typos. So that's why it does irritate me when I see typos in books, professionally published books like this. Typos aren't, in the big scheme of things, they're really not a big deal, but there are some things in Pizza Kit that graduated from typos to technical errors. Actual things wrong with the way the story is written that have potential to change the actual meaning of the story. There are a few instances, at least, where Peyton and Marley's names are swapped. It's not just in the book, too. It's not just in the text. It's also, on the back cover. Marley's best friend goes missing on the tour of the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Factory. Not only that, but there's also an instance where Let me look it up. I actually have to look it up this time because I just have to make sure I'm getting it right. There is a line of dialogue conveyed in thought from Peyton that is written in the third person. It's italicized and it's formatted as if it's a thought, but it's written in the third person. So not only is stuff like this serious and does technically break the story, but these are super fucking obvious mistakes that could have been caught with any competent editor or proofreader. Hell, even a beta reader could have caught these mistakes. And I don't really want to blame Scott Cawthon or Ellie Cooper for this because, like I said, writers make mistakes, humans make mistakes, but when you have, I presume, a team of editors and a professional publishing outlet like Scholastic or AFK Books or whatever, which is, I think it's a subsidiary of Scholastic, when you have a team like that attached to a written property, which happens to be one of the biggest video game franchises of all time, I'm sorry, I expect perfection. I expect professionalism. And to see these errors that an elementary school kid would not make in this book, it really irritates me. There are so many aspiring writers out there who just can't make it. And they could have the greatest story, they could have the greatest pitch, but even something like a typo or a mistake in the writing is enough to turn off an agent or a publisher. You are pretty much expected to be perfect, as a first impression goes. It is something I'm passionate about. If this were fan fiction or just some random creepypasta, I'd be more forgiving. But like I said, professional book, professional team behind it, big franchise that demands attention and respect. It's not good. It tells me that this was rushed. It tells me that this was not given the treatment it deserved. It tells me that, worst case scenario, they were more concerned with getting out a large number of books and making a profit rather than making sure that the stories actually made sense. Does not sit well with me at all.